Hey free-to-play gang, welcome back to another video. So I'm about to blow your mind for this video, alright? So thanks to this comment over here that got me thinking a little bit and it activated my statistics brain. Who likes statistics? Have a show of hands. Raise your hands right now. Alright, so let's read this real quick. By the Gaming Reaper. Also, I can't unthink this. Farming Dahlias, if you disassemble them, it's actually worth it and it's weird. And it feels bad. You disassemble them for 50 points a piece, giving you 5 Starrymons back. You only need 4 3-star Starrymons to make a 4-star, so you're actually gaining 1 on a technical basis. Kinda weird and ass backwards cause you're going from a 4-star to a 3-star, but you're gaining 1 additional rare Starrymon. I don't know, I can't unthink it, so I can't stop disassembling them. So in case you're a bit lost on what I'm talking about, let's take a look at what disassembly is. I know some of you guys already know what it is, but to most people, I think most of us already forgot what it's worth, right? So we are currently looking at the disassembly shop, and let's say I have a spare Louis here, right? I can disassemble a 4-star Esper for 50 of this currency. So let's just go ahead and do that. Alright, so now we have 50 of this currency and we can go to the shop here. And what you notice is that with 50 currency, we can actually buy 5 rare Starrymon this way, right? So isn't this a little bit better in terms of value? So from what he's saying, it only takes you 4 rare Starrymon to convert into 1 4-star Starrymon. But obviously there is a huge catch over here. So what he's trying to say is we should be farming Dahlias and then getting that Dahlia piece and disassembling the Dahlia into 5 rare Starrymon and then leveling up these rare Starrymon to get even more 4-star fodder. It might make sense at the start, and I can tell you that this is going to be a roller coaster of a statistics class today. There are actually a lot of things to consider. So number 1, if you're going to be grinding Dahlias, right, it costs you 120 stamina per Dahlia because you need 40 fragments of Dahlia and each fragment is going to cost you 3 stamina. So 120 stamina per Dahlia, but at the same time, if you're going to be converting her into rare Starrymon and then leveling up all of these rare Starrymons, you're going to be eating up a lot more stamina along the way. So there is a lot of confusion over here and I'm going to clarify all your doubts in this one single video. Alright, so let's start. And what you're seeing over here is a typical run without 2 times EXP, okay? Because I'm a cheapo and I'm not going to use my 2 times EXP just to calculate the numbers. So what you notice here is without a 2 times EXP, each of my Espers here, they are going to gain about what? Somewhere around 4.9k EXP. But if you double it up, it's going to be 9,936 EXP per fodder per run. Now also do take note that this number here is extremely important. So every single rare Starrymon that you have, and the EXP required to push it from level 1 to level 30 is actually 75,000. So going back to the EXP per fodder per run of 9,936, let's not forget that every single Purgatory 12 run that you take, you are going to gain back 1 more Experimon. And I'm going to include the Experimon over here, which means that if I divide that 1 additional Experimon into 4, because we have 4 fodder over here, the total EXP per fodder per run is going to be about 10,936. Now knowing that we need 75,000 EXP to raise a rare Starrymon from level 1 to level 30, we would therefore need 6.86 runs in order to push 4 of these Espers over here. Let's say they're all rare Starrymons, right? To push all of these 4 rare Starrymons to level 30, that would take you 6.86 runs. And then going down a little bit deeper, what we can understand is then the runs per level 30 rare Starrymon, for example, averaging over 4 fodder is simply 6.86 divided by 4. This number doesn't really make a lot of sense, but it's going to be very important later on, because this then translates to the stamina per level 30 being 25.72, which means that the total stamina to raise 4 of these rare Starrymon, let's say they're all rare Starrymon, right? To raise these 4 rare Starrymon to level 30 would be 25.72 times 4, basically. That's what the math means. Now let's move on to Dahlia. So the stamina cost per Dahlia is 120. I've talked about this earlier on. So 40 fragments, 3 stamina each. Now by converting that Dahlia into rare Starrymon, we would then gain 5 rare Starrymon per Dahlia piece, which also translates to 1 rare Starrymon being worth about 24 stamina, right? Because 120 divided by 5, that is 24 stamina. So that's the value of 1 rare Starrymon. Well, at least going by the rates of you farming Dahlia, that is. So let's move on to test scenario 1 over here, which is if you only farm Dahlia, right? And what is the stamina required to farm 5 Dahlia? That would just be 120 times 5. And the reason why I'm using 5 Dahlia is because it's going to be a little bit easier for you to understand mathematically. So 600 stamina just to farm 5 4-star fodder. Now test scenario 2, this is what happens if we disassemble Dahlia, okay? So let's say we farm 4 Dahlia and that stamina is going to cost us 480, right? And then we can convert these 4 Dahlias into 20 rare Starrymon over here, and therefore the stamina per 20 rare Starrymon is going to be 480. That makes sense, right? It's a 1-to-1 exchange over here. 1 Dahlia is to 5 rare Starrymon. So that also means that the stamina per 5 4-star Starrymon, because 4 rare Starrymon is equal to 1 4-star Starrymon, is going to be 608.59. And how I got this figure is because out of the 20 rare Starymons that you're gonna get from this method, you are only going to level up 5 of them to level 30. By leveling up 5 of them to level 30, you would then convert all 20 rare Starymons into 5 4-star Starymon, right? And obviously, I'm using the numbers over here, which means that the stamina required for every single level 30 Starymon on average is going to be 25.72. So therefore, the math over here is simply 480 plus 5 times 25.72, if that makes sense to you. So what can you tell from this scenario, right? So the difference between scenario 1 and scenario 2, the first scenario being just strictly farming Dahlias, and that's only going to cost you 600 stamina. As for test scenario 2, we are trying to achieve 5 4-star Starymon, and that's going to cost us 608.59 stamina. So what this might imply is that disassembling Dahlia is actually less stamina efficient because you're going to be wasting 8.59 stamina per 5 4-star Starymon. So let me ask you guys, do you think it's actually worth it to disassemble Dahlia or to just straight up farm Dahlia? 95% of you guys are going to say that it makes more sense to just farm Dahlia and just forget about, disassembling Dahlia. And you're actually mathematically right. But that is not the full picture. So let's take a look at the full picture. So I went ahead to do 333 runs in Purgatory 12. Now, from the 333 runs over here, I actually somehow acquired 44 rare Starymon, as you can see over here. So I actually just summed everything up. And this gave us a drop rate of rare Starymon. And the reason why this is so important is I'll explain just a bit, right? So just take note that the drop rate for rare Starymon in your Purgatory 12 is 13.21%. So let's just go back to our Excel spreadsheet here. So we're going to continue from test scenario 2 over here. Now, rare Starymon drops per run is actually 0.13, which is 0.1321, aka 13.21%. And the runs needed per 5 4-star Starymon via the test scenario 2 is actually 8.57 runs on the long run average. Which means that if you have built a massive amount of 4-star Starymon by farming like Purgatory 12, on average it's going to cost you 8.57 runs for 5 4-star Starymons. I know it's a little bit confusing, but I hope you understand like the gist of it, right? So now that we need to do 8.57 runs on average to get 5 4-star Starymon, we would also have some rare Starymon drops along the way. And this is where this percentage comes in very importantly, right? So 13% of the 8.57 runs are actually going to net us 1 rare Starymon drop, which means that we're actually going to gain back 1.13 rare Starymon along the way while we are trying to farm the EXP required to build 5 4-star Starymon. And going back a little bit to this part over here, where the stamina per rare Starymon is actually 24. That means that 1 rare Starymon is valued at 24 stamina. And because we're going to get back 1.13 rare Starymon this way, the true stamina per 5 4-star Starymon is not actually 608.59. We need to take into consideration that we're going to get back that additional 1.13 rare Starymon for every single time that we complete this one scenario. So in totality, the true stamina cost to build 5 4-star Starymon is actually 581.41, which means that this actually has a much better value than just farming Dahlia straight away. So some of you guys might be a little bit blurred. I'm like talking about a lot of numbers and all that. Don't worry, the gist of it is that it makes a lot more sense to farm Dahlia and then disassemble that Dahlia and then leveling up the rare Starymon fodder via Purgatory 12. And that is going to be a lot more stamina efficient for you. So I hope I didn't blow your brains out with this tutorial, and I hope that you guys actually learned something from this. Honestly, this is extremely eye-opening for me, and I really love the fact that I was able to perform some statistics to get some numbers out there. And I'm really quite excited to figure out that actually, just farming Dahlia and disassembling her and then using those additional rare Starymon is actually very worth it. Now, another secondary question that some of you guys might have is like, okay, so what if I have an additional 4-star fodder that I do not need? So let's say I've already fully ascended like Falcon, for example, right? I have an additional copy of Falcon. Should I then convert Falcon into 5 rare Starymon? I can't answer that question for you because there are a lot of things that you need to consider, right? So number one, are you short on mats? If you are short on rare Starymon mats, then yeah, definitely break him down into more rare Starymon. That is how you get more rare Starymon than you actually have. And another question that some of you guys might ask is, can I then break down the 4-star Starymon into 5 rare Starymon? The answer is no. Okay, you can only convert base level epic rarity Espers into 5 rare Starymons. So if you still have any other questions, leave them down below. I hope this video helped you in any way, shape or form. Anyway, if you enjoyed today's content, don't forget to leave a thumbs up. It really helps the channel, and subscribe for more dislike content. Now with that said, this has been Derry Free to Play, and as always, I will see you in the next video.